PlayStation believes in great games.
Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 17 of crossbuttonvr, a beginner's journey into PSVR2, a show for those who want to share in our newcomers' enthusiasm for the world of VR. I'm your host, Laurie, but for any newcomers to this podcast, I just want to remind everyone that we are part of the Cross Players. So if you find yourself enjoying what you hear, do check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. Now, it is an honour to be joined once again by two of the jolliest influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Alex. Yes, I was hoping one of you was going to do something jolly.
And it's the fat one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say that. I'm not saying
Insulted
that.
myself this week.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello.
Hi.
How you both? You staying cool?
No.
Not really, no. But
No.
it's going to rain for 10 days after the day, so it's fine. I'm looking forward to it.
Ah,
Is
normal
it actually
service.
going to rain? Surely only up in Scotland. It's not going to rain in 10
Probably.
days in the south.
Probably.
Never rains down here.
Speaking of the heat, though, it really doesn't go well with VR, does it?
No, you've
No,
discovered
it's-
this recently, haven't you?
Oh, my God. They are not good bedfellows whatsoever. On a hot day like this, when you're already sort of clammy, putting that thing on your face. Whew, not pleasant. Not pleasant at all.
I had actually the first time experiencing it of being unpleasant in the headset that I had to stop playing this week, and I wonder if that's because it was just hot and it was just that heat, and it just made me feel like, oh God, get this all off me, get it all off my head. Didn't want it on there, so that's probably
it's
why
it's a
it
shame.
was.
I had to I forced myself to finish the last Clockwinder. That might be jumping ahead in the order, but
Yes,
I had to
spoilers.
finish it with a t-shirt wrapped around my head to stop the sweat going into the headset. So
Wow.
it was, not a pleasant sight.
I love it. A normal person, just go outside, read a book, go outside, enjoy the weather. No, I will play this.
I'm going to
VR
finish this
set.
bloody game. So that's
It
ridiculous.
kills me.
But it happened. So there we go.
Too hot to
It
handle.
is too hot.
Well, I'm sure it'll cool down one day. Although we need to get used to it because this is what summers in this country are like now, apparently.
Yay, global warming.
Mm-hmm. So much for people. Well, I suppose if you have aircon, then you can play all the VR you like. So all your fancy people with aircon out there. Andrew?
Maybe
what
that's
you've
what I
got?
should get. Maybe I should get aircon.
Yeah.
This time next week, Alex will have aircon. That idea.
Planted the seed.
It's thought of now.
That's something else I could buy. I hadn't thought of that. That's a gadget I could place in my house that will do something. I mean, that at least will have some use.
Well, yeah, that's true. I might actually use that.
You'll be the only person in Scotland with air conditioning.
Yeah, for those like 3 days per year where it's a little bit warm.
Good. Well, the agenda this week, guys, we've just had an absolute rush of games, and I'm going to try my absolute best to try and run through them all. And I feel like we're going to have to come back to some of these. Well, we'll come back to lots of them over the coming weeks. We can't do. There's so many of them. It's just going to be fun just going through them all, just covering them all off. But yeah, anyone who says that PSVR2 is dead or dead on arrival or it's just not being supported, they need to think again because there are a hell of a lot of games coming, and most of these are all this year as well. So they're not all going to be good. I'm sure there's going to be some crack games there, but there's lots of them, so there's high chance there's going to be lots of good stuff coming. So we're going to talk about all of that. I think, Ben, you've now finished the last Clockwinder. I've got a bit further. I'm quite close to the end, so we'll talk about that and what we've been playing. And then, Alex, you're going to talk about Pixel Ripped 1978, which you've been playing and reviewing for us. That sound good?
Sounds like a
Does,
plan.
Laurie. It
Good.
does.
You weren't expecting anything else, were you both?
We never know what to expect.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where to start with all of these new games then? I think if we cast ourselves back to a week ago, the Future Game Show, which feels like ages ago now, doesn't it? In the middle of all those E3 style conferences. I don't even know when it was.
It's all
Somewhere in the
blurred.
middle. Somewhere in the
God
middle.
knows how it must feel for people who actually go to all of those things, but just
Oh, yeah.
watching it at home, it's like, how are we supposed to keep up with all of this?
Yeah, just before we get onto the news, actually, just why are we doing this still? Like, why is this happening all at the same time? Because there was so much stuff that must just be getting lost in all the noise that with all these other games that are being covered and released and stuff.
It is great though. Like, I enjoy this whole time. It does feel like E3 still, which is good. Like, as much stick as Jeff Keighley gets, I think he's obviously just... Although I don't think he has anything to do with most of the stuff that goes on, he's somehow kind of wrangled this all under his banner a little bit, and now everyone just calls it, Summer Game Fest.
But you guys, like in our WhatsApp, have been, during the day, there's been other stuff that I just have not had any chance to watch. I've seen, obviously I watched the Sony one, that was a few weeks ago. I watched the Xbox one, which is very good. I didn't watch the Summer Games Fest, but I just watched the trailers that come. I can never sit through all of these things. There's far too padded out. There'll always be an article of like everything that was announced at this showcase, and you can just skim through and just watch the trailers that I either don't know what they are or stuff that I know I want to see, and I can ignore the stuff that I know I'm not interested in.
Just for VR stuff, just listen to a podcast.
Yeah, such as this one. So anyway, okay, let's get back on track. There's a hidden there. Thank you. So it started off with a Future Games show, and this is not forgetting obviously that Sony covered quite a few in their showcase as well, but I'm just covering stuff. I'm not doing the whole roundup of the whole conference season. This is literally just since we did our last episode. So there's Future Game Show. They had another... Well, I think they just showed the same trailer again for Firewall Ultra. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Firewall Ultra. I will never commit this name of this game to memory. I think they had their community manager was just talking through some more features for it, just confirming it's still later this year. It's still looking nice. Again, everyone's still baffled why Sony didn't show this game themselves, but there you go. Firewall Ultra. It's still coming. That's probably the only sort of first party. It's not even first party, is it? It's just published by Sony.
Yeah, is it published by Sony or is it?
I think so.
PlayStation exclusive. Don't know. Well, they're publishing it. That's cool.
I don't know. I'm assuming Alex is looking it up right now. He looks like he's looking up something.
Yes.
There was also a trailer for VR Skater, which Sony as well have been pushing on. They did a tweet today just like, here's all the games coming in June and July, and they feature this on it. So they seem to be giving this quite a big platform. Having watched the trailer, it's like, just definitely going to make me sick. That just looks incredibly motion sick inducing just watching the trailer.
Yeah, I don't really understand. It doesn't look appealing to me. Like most of the other VR games, I get how you would control them, but that just looks odd.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that being a pleasant sensation.
Because you're not going to be jumping with your feet, are you, and doing the kicks and stuff? You're going to your feet will be planted on the ground. So,
and then I think you're like kicking with your hand as well. Isn't that right? So as if your hands are your feet, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the controls. But yeah, it just looks. I don't know. It looks odd. I think there's one that we maybe have to play because it doesn't show well, like we've said about so many other games.
It looks, it's that whole way. Even when you see the trailers and you just see like the hovering controllers and stuff, I'm just like, I just can't envisage how it actually feels to play. Most games, I think you can, and I think you can get a much better feel for them by watching trailers. And I think that one it gives me nothing. Nothing in terms of from the game. Just nothing in terms of how I think it would play.
Cool music though. I've got a very good skater, Tony Hawk's style soundtrack vibe to it.
I also didn't realise that we actually got a press release for that through today because we thought it was coming next week, but it's not coming till July because there's two different versions of the game. I think it's VR Skater. I'm going to say XL, but it's not XL, but it's like SL, I think it is, which is a Pico version, which is not the lifelike, so it's a slightly different version of the game, and then you've got this kind of lifelike Skater VR Skater that's coming to PSVR2, which is now coming in July. So I think some people seem to be expecting it next week, but it's not actually coming out until next month.
I would quite like to get a code of you playing it, Alex, and then Ben to just edit it so it's got Skater Boy playing the whole time, and you singing along to Skater Boy the whole time whilst you're playing it, Alex, because we know you like singing. We know you like singing. Yep. You don't do it now.
That'll get us the views. I can picture the thumbnail already.
Yes. Alex will be there at his local skate park with his headset on a skateboard.
kids just throwing stuff at him.
It's fine. All the kids next door are all out. The kids next door are out on their skateboards all the time, so I'll just kind of down the hill with a headset on. Fine.
Brilliant.
Long cable. Oh.
Moving on. Sea Smash, that featured on the Future Games show as well, coming June 23rd. Oh, that's very soon, isn't it? It's a week away as we're recording.
1 week today.
Next Friday. Yeah, wow. And then there was a very quick teaser for Madison VR, and I'll park that because we saw a proper trailer for that a few days later. But even just the teaser trailer, God, that looked horrible. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Someone over there, fingers snapped and just like, oh God, why would you play these games? I don't understand.
No.
Sorry, no, exactly. So that was Future Game Show. Then I think it was just a random tweet put out by the developers for Until You Fall, which is a very acclaimed PSVR arcade style roguelike hack and slash, more words. And they just said more info coming soon. But that's a very colourful, one of these kind of melee style combat roguelike type things. So which there seems to be a few of them on the list of things that I'm going to be covering today. So I saw the trailer for that. I just thought that's very colourful. That's going to look very nice on the PSVR2 headset. There's OLED Sing.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And then there was Survive. I presume you just pronounce it Survive. It's irritatingly the I.
No.
What?
You don't pronounce it Survive.
Serve 1v3.
Yeah, that's that.
Is that actually what's called? Serve 1v3.
Serve 1v3.
Yeah.
That's it. No, I'm sure it's Survive.
Okay,
quite right.
well, just the irritating habit. I said this to you on our WhatsApp. Like, why, if it was like one of these asymmetric, I don't know the word then. What is that word again? That's the asynchronous multiplayer?
No, you were right the first time.
I got, what?
You got it right.
It's okay. Yeah, so it was one of you against 3 other people trying to get you. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Call it Survivable 1v3 instead of an I and an E. But no, it doesn't seem to be that. It's just, I don't know. Maybe we'll get the developers on to interview them, and I'll just ask them that question.
Why have you called that a stupid name?
And then we can bin them off. But that is a zombie.
Letters.
That's a zombie survival FPS. Single player co-op coming to PSVR2 June the 16th. Today, in fact, that's come out as we record
now.
this. So anyone listening to this episode, that game's been out. It's old news. So yeah, look at that game announced, released, and slagged off for its title. By the time you've heard this podcast. Amazing.
The Circle of Life.
Yep. Okay. Next up then, it's Phasmophobia. Fucking hell, why are these names so hard to say? Phasmophobia. There you go. That's coming in August. And this is apparently a very big online streaming friendly game. It's got quite a cult following. Yeah, quite a cult following online. And it's coming to consoles as well and PSVR 2. So it's a 4-player online co-op psychological horror game where you and your friends are paranormal investigators that enter haunted locations. It's kind of like that Derek Acora ghost hunting type thing where you're looking around dark mansions and looking for ghosts and stuff, and you find like the TV's been left on or someone's left some cassette recorders lying around. In that way, that annoys me in games. And you're just looking for evidence and using your gadgets to record the evidence, and then you get sprung upon by ghosts and stuff. So this does seem like it'll be good fun because it's co-op. You just on the trailer you got people there all talking over the headsets like, oh, I'm in this room, or some weird shit's going on here, guys, quick help me. So that does sound like it'd be quite fun because I think you would just be like laughing the whole time at each other.
Yeah, I really like the idea of that. I think us playing it together would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, and to stream it as well would be fantastic.
Yeah, and the trailer was quite good because it didn't show any ghosts as far as I recall. Like it was all just suspense. It was all just creeping around, and I thought that was quite clever the way it did that. So they obviously know what they're doing. Yeah, Alex, you were shaking your head the whole time Laurie was describing it, but I think the 3 of us playing it would be superb.
Oh no, I don't. No, I'm too much.
I am as well, but
yeah,
I think
famously, none of us like these horror games.
No,
but
this
one
does
seem like it is just like we can. I don't know.
Hold each other's hands
funny.
virtually.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll
be
be there together. It's almost like being in like an escape room type thing. Because if you're in that sort of situation with your mates, you just don't really you don't take it seriously that much. You can always get out. Alex, take the headset off. It's too scary. It's fine. It's not like the Matrix where like, just eat your brain if you rip it out. Although apparently the new Apple headset does do that.
Thought so. I did have a feeling you had to sell your soul to get it. So
Yeah, if you take it off without getting their
it is
permission.
the end. That is, it wasn't a charger or whatever it was attached to that cable. It was actually the plug connecting you to the end of the word. The plug.
Yes, the blood.
That's the next game that we're going to talk about. The Blood.
The plug.
No, some of these later on games do sound like they're made up titles, but so far these are all genuine titles. Why didn't I do that? I can't think on my feet enough to just insert one in that's now going to be total bullshit, but should have done that. And then I could have played, right, guess which game was total bullshit. Next up, this is not a game that's been announced, but I just want to talk about Assassin's Creed Nexus was shown at the Ubisoft presentation. And there is still no word on a PSVR2 version, so I think Alex is right, which pains me more than anyone can believe to say that Alex was right.
Yeah.
Yes, just because you're right. But also, I really want to play that, and it really annoys me if they don't. And Ubisoft don't really make exclusive games beyond Mario plus Rabbids for obvious reasons. And Assassin's Creed especially has just been a game that's been on everything. And like, if it's been anywhere exclusive, it's been on Sony hardware. So to them to make an AC game that's not on Sony hardware just seems really strange to me. And yeah, I'm a bit gutted really, because I've played virtually like every Assassin's Creed game and not going to play this one. So there you go. Fuckers.
Well, I'm sad for you, Laurie. I'm sad for you.
I mean, maybe it's just like an exclusive period of like a year, and then it will come across, and they just can't say anything about it until such time. So maybe it'll come across eventually. But by then, I'll have moved on. I won't care anymore. Not interested. It's probably not going to be that good either, because Assassin's Creed games are a bit average, but they're guilty pleasure of mine.
It would have been
Talk
nice,
yourself out of
though.
it.
It would have been nice.
Okay, next up, I'm sorry, we'll talk about all these in great length, but we need to move feral clip here. Hubris or Hubris? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Hubris.
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 It's going to be out.
Hubris.
Also out
Yeah.
by the time of this episode, I believe. What's the release date for that? Yep.
22nd.
I think it's today, isn't it?
No, it's next week. I
16th.
think it's the 21st. Or
Well, this
22nd.
episode comes out on the 20th of June, so if it is on or before then, happy Hubris Day to everyone.
I think it might just be after. Let me check.
Project. It's good how we put the time in researching this.
We do.
Putting
We
this episode
do. We've
together,
just
don't we?
forgotten.
We do, but there's a lot to remember, guys. All right, it's a lot to remember. But yeah, that's the exceptionally pretty game that, some sort of space thing. It looks a bit like Red Matter in the kind of, you're in a kind of space
That's
alien
exactly
planet
what I
type
was
thing.
going to say. Yeah, is it doing the same thing as Red Matter? Kind of.
Probably
You get a lot of spacey stuff. A lot of military stuff, a lot of space stuff.
Yeah, and VR is kind of these sorts of things. You're in the kind of interactive story with interactive cogs and levers to pull and things to shoot at. It seems to be a tried and trusted VR template.
Yeah, looks good though. Looks really, really slick. So yeah, fingers crossed.
it
it reviews well.
looks really good. It looks like an absolute tech demo, if nothing else. We also then
Indeed.
got on the PS blog just yesterday, so 3rd to the 15th, a bunch of new game reveals, and some of these were, I think, brand new, completely new reveals that hadn't been talked about anywhere else. So just Sony again, just in their kind of casual way of just putting stuff on their blog. It's just like, surprise, here's some new games, and not making more of a fanfare out of it, which I always find strange, but who knows, must be working for them. So the first of which was Tiger Blade, which was a sort of neo-Korean kind of, I don't know how you describe it, how they described it, but it's a kind of, looked a bit like Pistol Whip, but in a kind of John Wick style setting.
Yeah, inspired
It
by
did look
like
Action,
action movies, and it's got like K-hop soundtrack. So I made a
Looks
short
very
list
stylish.
of 5 games that jumped out at me from all of these, and this was the first one.
So you're making
my
most
list.
anticipated games list now, are you? You've learned how to do that.
So, someone's got to be organised.
Yeah.
I thought this looked really good. This looks right up my alley, and definitely, I don't know, I definitely tend to veer towards the more stylized look and things like this, as opposed to the more realistic stuff like Hubris or Red Matter or whatever. This just looks cool to me.
on the PS blog itself, it says Tiger Blade brings all of the stylish, adrenaline-soaked combat of the very best of Korean neo-noir action cinema to PSVR2. Now that sounds pretty good. Slash and blast your way through ranks of hoodlums. Hoodlums? Oh, man. Back here, you hoodlum. I want to blast my way through hoodlums. In high-stake chase through the atmospheric, meticulously recreated marketplaces, blah, 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 blah. An alternative career. Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. Sword in one hand, gun in the other.
Pow. Bosh. Hoodlums down. So yeah, that's Tiger Blade. That looks fun to watch. And then next up, which has been my kind of most impressive thing that I've seen from this last week, it's called Wanderer, The Fragments of Fate.
This looks excellent.
This looks very good. And I started off in the trailer, you're in a kind of Last of Us style. It looked really like The Last of Us. I was thinking it's going to be like some Last of Us spin-off here. It could be. But it's not. It's kind of like a sort of Cloud Atlas style thing where you're travelling through time and different settings. At one point, you were on stage playing drums in some big kind of festival type crowd. Then you were in space looking at yourself in a mirror. Then you were in this Last of Us style environment. So yeah, it just looks totally really interesting, epic time travel adventure, they describe it as. And it's a remake of a PSVR1 game, but apparently it's completely remade. It's like not a small port. It's a kind of whole reimagining of it, apparently. So
that's good. Yeah, good to see more titles moving over. There was a good few of them, wasn't there? But this one caught my eye as well. Didn't make it to that list of mine, but I thought it would be on yours because it looks like a proper lorry game.
But yeah, it does. There was also Pixel Ripped 1995. Now this is confusing. These Pixel Ripped games. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm struggling to keep up with them because there's 1978, which has just come out. But before that, we had 1995, which is going to be coming out after 1978. If that's clear. And there's another
1989 as well, yeah.
1989 as well. So they're going to release 78, then 95, then 89. But
no idea.
But on the other headsets, did they release like 95, 89?
The others have been out, yeah. And I think
what order should have been played?
I think 89 was first. I think 89, 95, now back to 78. I think, but I could be wrong. But I think that was the order.
I love the way Laurie's just been saying how excited he is for this time travelling game, and he can't wrap his head around 3 different years.
They're releasing them in just crazy orders.
So don't put numbers in your titles. Don't put numbers in your titles and use proper letters. And if you're going to release games with names with years in the title, release them in chronological order.
I'm just sounding really
Simple
old
rules.
now, aren't I?
Yeah.
It's like, side note here, it's like the we're trying to watch Star Wars on Disney Plus now. We're talking a new series. I cannot get my head around when it's supposed to be set. And then this one slots in between episodes 5 and 6. So I was like, oh, fuck, what's going on then? Who's, where are we at that point?
I don't think the people know anymore either. I don't think it matters. I think even the people that are making them have got no idea where it fits in.
It's all bollocks, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I don't upset the Star Wars people. I like Star Wars. I just say I struggle with all of the timelines now because there's so many it jumps around all the times.
I'm not saying I don't like Star Wars. Don't come at me in the comments. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, name 3 Star Wars films, Ben.
1, 2 and 3.
Anyway.
Not in that order.
And then finally, on the PS blog, there was The Seventh Guest, which we had seen at the Meta Showcase. And I think they'd also, on some trailer, they'd added a PSVR2 logo at the end of it. So I think we knew this was already coming, but I feel like they probably shouldn't have. It seemed like that was a mistake. They confirmed that early because it seemed like this is where, Sony were pitching this as these were 4 game reveals. So I think they probably should have. It seemed like that was a mistake when they put that trailer out that had the PSVR2 logo on it, because it was not on there at the Quest showcase, and then in theory it's been an exclusive until this point when Sony revealed it's also coming there. So, but obviously the surprise had been spoiled somewhat. But still looks good though. It's kind of a murder mystery, supernatural type thing, but in a. I mean, I don't know, did you ever play this, The Seventh Guest, the original one? Does that mean anything to you?
Not that old.
Well, 90s. So, playing games in the 90s, yeah. I don't know.
Not these type of game, probably.
No, just Sonic. Alex, were you a Sonic
But
or
I'm looking
Mario?
forward to this though.
Are you Sonic or
Both.
Mario?
Probably far more Mario, probably, but I did play both.
Ben?
I played both, but definitely more Mario.
You? Mario, obviously.
Mario.
Sonic games are shite.
Whoa!
So we've
Star
annoyed the Star
Wars,
Wars, Sonic.
Everyone's
What's
getting
next?
it.
We need another S. Let's annoy the 3 S's.
Okay. Right. The
Sony.
next up then we had was the Upload VR show. And this, if anyone is into VR and loves games in VR, this was the main showcase of the whole showcase season. This one had them all. This has so many games on it. And so many games coming for PSVR2. And it's interesting that it seems like Sony are doing a token bit of including PSVR2 stuff and their stuff and in the blog or whatever. But they're very much leaving it to developers, and these are other forums that, in fairness to them, the VR community is probably such that there are these alternative forums that it works perfectly well to just let all these third-party developers show their stuff in. And it's kind of like, I think like we said before, that Sony just kind of created this platform and then, or could put this hardware out and then just take a step back and say, right, here you go, make games for it. Knock yourselves out. Crack on. Because we're not really going to support it that much, but if you want to support it, and we hope you do, crack on. It seems like they're just creating it and then, putting the infrastructure in place and then let someone else come along and create all the classics for it, which is interesting, and we'll see how that pans out. And who knows, we might get Astro. But in the meantime, we've got a bunch of games on Upload VR. There's so many of these. So there's Toss with an exclamation mark. So you have to say like Toss. Which is like a kind of, you are cast as a monkey.
Your wife is downstairs going,
What's he doing out there? Shouting Toss. You were cast as a monkey. It looks very like Astro Bot
That's
kind of
quite cool.
aesthetic, with a Call of the Mountain style gameplay of climbing up stuff and just climbing
and
on
a
things.
smidgen of Fall Guys, I thought, in the presentation.
Yeah, very much.
A little bit as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
very much.
is another one that was on my list. I thought this could be
Could be a
quite
good
good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very silly.
Well, that's coming in September. We then got the first of many, many horror games. You're pleased to know, Alex. The Events at Unity Farm. Don't know much about that one. There's a very kind of teasery type trailer that just looks like this is going to be some scary shit going down at Unity Farm. So, yep. There was a Tin Hearts port confirmed.
Yes.
Is that yes?
That one's highly on my list. That is high on
just
my
wondering-
list, that one.
Just thought he was agreeing with me there. It's like, yeah.
It was
there was.
confirmed, but no, that
Correct,
one
there was that.
piqued my interest.
Yeah, have
Yeah,
you
same.
played? Because that's come out flats, hasn't it? On
I haven't
normal.
played the flat version. I think it originally was a VR game back in the day. I think it originated as a VR game, and then they ported it over to like the consoles. But they built the new version of the VR game from the ground up again. So they started the game with it. So it is coming later than summer. But I've been waiting for the VR version. I did think about playing the flat version, but thought, no, I might as well wait. Because I played it at EGX last year and really enjoyed what I played there. So I have been looking forward to actually playing this for a wee while.
Did you play it in VR last year?
No,
at
they
EGX?
didn't have it
Oh,
in
right,
VR.
just the
It was
flat.
just in the
Okay.
flat version.
Yeah, it looks cool. Kind of like almost like Humanity, Lemmings, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
A little bit.
It's that kind of
But
style.
with a bit of moss thrown in.
Mm,
It felt like a bit of that sort of childlike magic. So, yeah, cool.
Okay, then there was Happy Funland, which looks like a kind of, described as a comic horror theme park type game. So it looks a bit like the Switchback style thing, but it's quite comic and you're going around that theme park style, haunted theme park environment. Looks like it could be a bit more fun than the usual horror type stuff.
And I almost felt a bit Five Nights at Freddy's? You know, that one, the last one that they had with but you kept seeing like hundreds of trailers for it. Gave me that kind of vibe for the wee bit of that I caught. Yeah. More horror.
Yeah.
More horror.
There was a game called Barbaria. Barbaria, which is coming this summer, which is another melee type combat type thing.
Yeah, but it had the whole like base building and stuff about it as well. That was the one that was like you could almost go into God mode and build your base and then go and fight. Which I thought was quite cool. 'Cause I think a lot of people like that. Not probably me. That's too technical for me, but it looks cool. I think that's quite a big following and community already. So it'd be good to see that one coming over.
Yeah. there was a full trailer from Madison VR, which is coming out in Halloween. You see what they've done there? Because it's a scary game, so they're releasing it Halloween. Which is
that confirmed for Halloween?
I think a Halloween window. I don't know if it's exactly on Halloween day itself.
Very cool.
It's just, yeah.
It does
It
look
looks like it's had
terrifying.
Bit of a glow up since the last time we saw it as well, which looks good. So, yeah, again, hard to imagine us playing. We really do need a freelance horror correspondent to come and cover these games for us, because we're all
well, and there's so many of them, so it's a big part of the library that we are not we're not involved in. So if anyone loves a horror game, I mean, I'm not even playing blooming Resident Evil. I feel like I should at least play that, but it's too much other stuff.
You should try it.
There's too much other stuff I actually want to play, though. It's not going to make me feel like
that is just I
miserable
really
person.
do think you should play 4 though. Please play Resident Evil 4 when it comes out. You can borrow my copy. I'll send it to you. Just try that.
I don't know.
All right. Screw you.
If they can make Resident Evil 4 into VR, why can't they make The Last of Us? Alex's theory that he had, they're going to make The Last of Us Part 1 remake into a VR.
I mean, I still wouldn't be surprised if they have done something in the background to make it VR compatible. But who knows?
That would be good. Anyway, back to the UploadVR show. The next game, Gazless, which is just like the funniest word. Gazless, it's called.
Gazless.
Yeah.
So, have you seen that new game? Yeah, Gazless. What?
Gazless.
I thought
Gazless.
that actually looked quite funny.
It's a odd looking game as well. Like, it's almost got that Borderlands cell shading kind of style. It looks like it might be set in like a cartoony Wild West almost, and you're on the back of a vehicle going away from stuff and then just shooting it. So it's an on-rails shooter basically, but it looks like it could be fun. I just found the presentation a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, so this was originally going to be a co-op arcade shooter, and now they're reworking it as a single player, which doesn't bode well. It doesn't seem, it seems like it's going through a bit of a troubled development, or they've just seemed to have pivoted midway through. It rarely turns out well for games. So best of luck to them. But it's a on-rails roguelike arcade shooter. Which again, a roguelike arcade shooter. I'm not sure I want to play that. Next up, we've got a game called Paint the Town Red, which from the brief trailer I saw made me just think, so it's basically Sifu but Minecraft. And that comes early next year.
Yeah. Again, presentation of it put me off a little bit. Just that, I think with VR especially, you have to want to be in that world and in that environment, and that just doesn't look appealing to me.
Yeah, something to be a bit or garish or just unpleasant to look at.
Exactly.
There was another trailer for Pigs for Ripped 1978, which we'll talk about in a minute. There was a game called B99 Overclocked, which is a very cool looking...
this is a Ben game. This is a
very
Ben
cool
game all over
looking
it.
first-person roguelike. That is Ben, isn't it? First-person shooter roguelike. But just the look of it is basically Tron, right? You're in a Tron-style aesthetic. Shit name, but it looks good. Tell us, Ben, why you're excited for it.
Well, for the reasons you just said, really. That's exactly... It's, again...
You're excited because it's got a shit name. Okay.
Because it's got a shit name.
Bit weird.
I support games with shit names. No, because just the look of it, it just looks... I love that kind of neon... It was the same with, was it Tiger Blade? Just the look of it just appeals to me so much. And the soundtrack seemed cool. So I think it's just... looks like one of those... up there with the likes of Pistol Whip and stuff like that. Just looks like a cool feeling game.
It was
Like
presented really
Res-like
well.
as well, a little bit too.
Yes.
But that comes out in June, so you're going to be playing that in the next couple of weeks, Ben.
Lovely stuff. Happy days.
You're definitely going to have time to play this, right? Nothing else playing
Time
in the next
to
couple of weeks.
everything.
Yeah. 45 minutes to the Dan Ward tactic. Next up, Discronia, episode 3. Alex, one for you. This comes out on July the 13th. Episode 3 in the Discronia. I don't know.
I need to finish
Chronicles.
episode 2.
2. Well, there you go. Well, if you do, you're.
But I will
three's
try
gonna be
and
there
finish the
waiting for you.
story because it's a nice little story. We've spoken about one in depth in the past. But
Hang on,
interesting.
they're bringing out episode 3 after episode 2.
Yeah, they're doing it in order, Ben. I mean, it's just
Sensible
so...
people.
Are
Say what
they
you like about
thinking?
that game, but at least they know what order to release it in.
They know chronology.
Yes.
Well, it's
Yeah.
all about it, so I'd hope so.
True.
Next one, and if this isn't on your list, Ben, I'm going to be very upset. It's Sushi Ben. Sushi Ben. That now.
It's not on my list.
We've had a load of games with shit names, but Sushi Ben, that is probably the best named game of the night.
It's a great
Sushi Ben. And it's by the person
I'll play
who, the writer or director or someone that made Hatoful Boyfriend, which was that game where you had to fall in love with a pigeon or something. That is that game I'm thinking of, right?
I've actually got no idea what you're
The
talking
pigeon
about.
romance sim game. Come on.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Now you're
that
making
was
me look
it.
stupid.
Definitely. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sure. But no, I'll play that. I love sushi. I love myself. So, perfect.
I thought this game looked like shit.
Oh, really? Sushi Ben?
Ultimately, yeah. This is one I remember. I remember because I remember when Sushi Ben got announced and we joked about it. Oh, it's like there's a game for Ben, and you're like, and then I was watching the trailer for this and thought this looked awful. And we got to the end and it come up with the logo and it's like Sushi Ben. I'm like, oh, that's such a shame that's so bad. Like that did stick in my head, and
I think
I'm probably doing a disservice here there, but it definitely didn't look like something for me.
I think it's very much a cult classic. In fact, you don't even know. Hatoful Boyfriend is quite a cult. It's a pigeon dating sim. It's like one of those visual novel type games, but it's very cult, I guess, because it's just so batshit crazy and Japanese and
for those
like,
people that want to marry like animals.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. That's how
so
Laurie
it's
found
the
out about it
same
on one of his forums.
creator.
Yeah, that's
It's
it,
just-
wasn't it?
It's a game. I didn't make it up. I'm just
It's where they just
you know.
shout, toss!
That's the pigeon.
Oh, God. Sushi Ben looks all right. I'm watching the trailer again now. I quite like the look of it.
Good.
I think it looks fun. I'll play that
And
one.
the last game you played as someone called Ben made you cry, so maybe this one will too.
Maybe.
Different reasons.
Sounds very much like a threat there, Alex. You do that. You kind of go mildly, sort of mildly threatening Scottish accent sometimes. You just
I'm
say,
never threatening.
you're just doing it again there. So you just say these mild,
Yeah, that was totally.
innocuous things. Crossfire Sierra Squad, that got another trailer. I'm not sure we need
Looks
another trailer,
better.
but yeah, I think the trailer there it's got some realistic instant death mode or something. It was the thing was like an ultra hard mode. Again, God, what are these VR games? It's ultra realistic. It's like, yeah, you're going to be shot and you're instantly dead. That is not
That's
how
fine.
I want to, unwind at the end of the day. It just seems so stressful.
Is this the one we were talking on Discord about whether it was PvE or PvP? What
PvC,
what did we
QVC.
QVC. This is the
What did we
QVC.
land on in the
QVC.
end?
This
PvC.
is
QVC.
PvE.
Right.
Yeah.
With people.
Good.
You and your buds up against.
Well, that's all right then. I don't mind like computer controlled enemies shooting at me. I just don't like other people shooting at me. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah. I think it does look good, and it's got crossplay with the other platforms that it's also coming on too.
Yeah.
So. Next one is one I'm very excited about is A Fisherman's Tale, the prequel to another Fisherman's Tale. Don't get me
I
started.
mean, they're just doing the wrong order again. It's like-
Don't get me started. Another Fisherman's Tale, very good game. Everyone should try it. Very good game. A Fisherman's Tale is very different. I think it's set in obviously the same developers, but it's different gameplay, different story. But they do link. There is some crossover and stuff in the story. So I'll be playing this one when it comes out. I think this is much shorter as well. So if anyone hasn't played another Fisherman's Tale, maybe wait. Play A Fisherman's Tale first, and then play another Fisherman's Tale. And you won't be confused by some
Do it
aspects
the
of the
right
story,
way.
like I was. Next up, Lo-Fi, which is still
Yes.
targeting a 2023 date, which is good to see. It looks like Cyberpunk VR, basically. So yeah, interesting. I wonder if Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty expansion is kind of eat this game to lunch a little bit, just because everyone's going to be Cyberpunked out. Because it looks very much like Cyberpunk, but and I know Cyberpunk itself looks very much in that kind of that aesthetic.
It does-
It's trying
It
to
does
recreate.
it looks like it, but it's not going to be anything like Cyberpunk.
No,
It's
no.
gonna be much, much, much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Like all we've seen. Have we seen any actual
No,
gameplay
well,
of
they
it,
have
or has it just
put
been
out-
the environments?
They've put out an early access for a Kickstarter back, so backers got some early access to it. And basically all it was there was just, I think there was 4 or 5 different environments at the point where it was they got access to it. 4 or 5 different environments. You couldn't really do anything in them. It was just these cool, really good looking VR environments, and there were some interactive things, but there was no game or anything to it. And then since then, there's been several more years of development. So I think it's described as a sandbox type thing where you can just do whatever you want, but there doesn't seem to be a strong narrative type thing to it. So I'm a bit, I don't know how much of a lorry game it's going to be, because it's not going to have that strong narrative kind of pulling you through it. If it's just a playground to just dig about and have fun interacting with stuff, then that'd be cool, I guess, but it doesn't make it as exciting to me as if it was trying to tell a really cool story in that setting. So we'll see. There was some DLC announced for Ragnarok, which is that the drums one, Alex?
Yes, it's like drumming on a longboat. It's quite cool. I haven't played it. It's one of those launch titles of not. There's so many games on the PSVR2. I haven't got around to playing all of them, but it's one that people seem to like. So it's like I think you're almost like in a longboat race, and your drumming is to like speed up the longboat if you're hitting the rhythm and the right. The better you do, the faster the boat goes and stuff. That's the impression I get from it, but I don't know too much about it. But the DLC looked pretty cool. The game
Is
itself
it tied in with the band as well? It's like
I think
music
so.
from a certain band. I've never heard of the band, but that's cool. It's got licensed music in it.
Yeah.
There was a new trailer for Synapse showing some of the stuff which I think, as we played the preview build, we'd already seen the abilities and skill trees and stuff. So it was nice to show people that, because that is a really cool part of it. I think we tried to explain that, but the trailer does a better job, unsurprisingly, than what we were able to. So, another trailer for Synapse. That's good. Next up was one that I think got quite a lot of people excited, was called Arashi Castles of Sin, which again looks like, this is Ghost of Tsushima in VR, which it doesn't look anywhere near as in-depth or complex as that, but it's the feudal Japan. You're a samurai sneaking into castles and throwing morning stars at people and sneaking up and stabbing them with your katana. It looks great.
Yeah, this is the 5th and final one on my watch list. I think this looks very cool. Seems to review, the original version seems to have reviewed reasonably well as well. So with a few PSVR2 enhancements, I would hope there'd be one worth checking out.
Yeah, and you'd hope with these games that reviewed a few years ago on PSVR1 or Quest or whatever, and then they're coming across here, as well as the visual enhancements, they'll tweak some of the gameplay things where if they say, the AI was stupid, or this bit was, if there's a difficulty spikes, and things like that, if those sort of things gives them a chance to iron out all that sort of stuff, then that's all. It potentially makes it a better game rather than just it's just going to look better.
And I think what JP a few episodes ago was saying again about the porting process of Walkabout, it just seemed like the extra headroom they've got with the tech allows them to concentrate on a few other things, so they know it's just going to run like a dream, so we can actually dig into a few of the other little bits that were maybe would have taken a lot more development time on lesser platforms. Not lesser platforms, that sounds snobby. Weaker platforms. That also sounds snobby.
That sounds even worse.
Oh well, you know what I mean.
Less powerful platforms. So that might be a better way of putting it.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely one we'll come back to, and that's autumn release. So it's a nice thing to look forward to in the autumn. Next up was Tennis on Court, and I'm getting confused at this point. I'm trying to pull this stuff together. I can't. I saw this in a tweet, but I think it might have also been in the UploadVR Showcase.
It was.
Well. It was. Okay, so Tennis on Court. Yep, it's a tennis game. Looks really nice. Looks really photorealistic style environments that you're playing tennis in.
Yeah, I think it as a sport it translates quite well to VR as well. I can imagine it. Obviously we've played the C Smash demo that works quite well for like space squash. So I think like normal grounded tennis could work really nicely. Be interested to see what the multiplayer options are like on that.
Well, that's a bit I'm not sure, because I did see some things come out after. It's like, is this just a single player tennis game? So I don't actually know if it has multiplayer, which would seem pretty surprising if it didn't. But I'm not sure it's been confirmed or not yet.
But I think if like looking at previews of it, the physics and stuff seems to work. Like there was someone just standing there, what you do with a tennis racket, and just toss the ball in the air and then toss the ball in the air and then flip your racket around and flip it, and it was all doing what you would think it would do. So it might just feel like playing real tennis. So watch out, light shades.
Yeah, the controllers do translate it to rackets very well, don't they? They kind of feel like rackets in your hand, so it makes sense. And the final game on my list, thank God I've reached the end of my list, is called Grimlord, a Souls-like action RPG game, which from that alone is going to get a lot of people excited.
Not me.
Not me.
Oh, well. Not me, sadly, either. I don't really like Souls games, so never mind. You two do, though. You loved a bit of Elden Ring, didn't you?
Oh, but that was my one and only. That was
I had to drag Alex through Elden Ring, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
So
then we
yeah,
played the
got
game.
a lot of games that I've just talked about there. And like I say, most of them, some of them are next year, but most of them will be either already out or June, July. There seems to be a really good spread now between June, July, August, September. There is stuff every month coming, and that's really great for Sony to see. And they're putting out tweets today showing that here is 3 big games in June, 3 big games in July. I say they're not going to be to everyone's taste, but most people don't buy that many games. People only need to have 3, 4, 5 games over the space of a whole year. There's so many other non-VR games to play. I'd be surprised if anyone has a PlayStation 5 and just wants to play VR stuff on it. So it's just trying to fit. There's so many non-VR games coming out that it's impossible to play all of them, and there's so much now VR stuff to play. It's a real just trying to balance the VR and non-VR stuff is really hard, and it's great that the VR games are just 3 or 4 or 5 hours long, that you can fit them in around these massive epic games as well. But yeah, anyone that says there's nothing to play on it is not paying attention.
Spoiled for choice. Not a bad thing.
Cool. Right. Well, as I say, we're going to revisit some of those in future weeks, but we're just going to move on now to what we've been playing. So before we do that, I'll just remind everyone, if you'd like to support us, please give the podcast a sub on the service you're using and leave us a review too. You can follow us on Twitter at crossbuttonvr and at the crossplayers. And if you really want to support us, you can do so via the patreon.com/thecrossplayers, and £2 a month to help us produce the show and get an entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group. And competition winner, Ben, over to you. This is your job each week now. Become another little job that we give to you.
Yeah, keep them going. So last week we asked you to leave a comment under the YouTube video to say who you would like to appear as a guest on future shows. We have actually been speaking to a couple of people, so the next few shows we might have a little mystery guest here and there. But the comment that we've picked as the winner this week was from ShafeDog247.
Great name.
And the comment was, maybe get Blair Renard, creator/dev of Lo-Fi. I'd like to know what he thinks about developing for the PSVR2, challenges, and what he's doing next. Because I think that's just a one-man developed game, isn't it? I think that'd be very interesting.
He must have some help. He must have some mates he's roped in.
I'm pretty sure it is.
That's incredibly impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great shout. So that's we by all means we could try and reach out to him. Sounds like he's possibly the busiest man on earth, trying to get that ready for release. But we will give it a go. Great comment, and we will get £10 PSN credit over to you. So when you hear this, ShafeDog247, please just get in contact on Discord or Twitter. Whatever. Drop us an email. We don't use the email anymore, do we? crossbuttonvr@gmail.com.
Yeah, there.
Whatever
We
works
do.
for you. And as for this week, the competition, so we obviously mentioned the iTunes, that's old school.
Yeah,
The Apple Podcast review from the US that we got last week, and a couple of lovely people have come forward and said, I've just left you a review on there. You know, it's been very nice, which is good. So this week, the competition is leave us an Apple Podcasts review, and we will again read out. Well, let's see how many we get, but we'll certainly read out some of them, and we'll pick a winner, and then that person will get £10 PSN credit. Simple as that. So 5-star review would be great, ideally. Probably not going to pick a 1-star as the winner. So keep it friendly, keep it positive.
I mean, if they need some inspiration, didn't someone called Justin leave us a comment or a review or something, Ben?
Yes. We actually got a nice comment on Spotify. Have you got it in front of you in your notes? Because
I do,
be
yeah,
quicker
yeah.
than me digging it out. So go ahead.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to do it in an American accent, Ben. because I'm not going
It's
to.
not offending now.
Don't just read out.
Is it? Love you guys. I'm from Twin Falls, Idaho in America. Love listening to your opinions and discussions over games and accessories. Makes my job a lot less boring. Keep up the great work, guys. Now, what do we think his job is?
God knows. Something boring. But yes, as much as we help you, things that are feedback like that helps us as well. That's nice.
Makes
to know
us
that we did
smile.
a good job. It does. Thank you very much.
Right, in my quest to keep this podcast as under an hour every week, we need to be quick now, gents. We need to be quick. We were going to talk about
No
what we've been
pressure on
playing.
me then.
Well, we were going to talk about the last Clockwinder, but Ben, how would you feel about holding that back? Because I am very close to finishing it as well, so we could just hold that and we can talk about
Let's
it.
hold off. That's
Both if
fine.
I have finished it. But suffice to say, you and I are both still very much enjoying it. For anyone that is on tenterhooks for an update on how we're finding it.
100%.
Alex, over to you, and let's talk about Pixel Ripped 1978 in your most succinct voice.
It's very good.
Okay, no, you can have more than that.
Okay, thanks for listening, everyone.
So Pixel Rip 78 is one of those ones, 1978, the third game in the series after 1995 and 1989. But I don't know, whatever order they came in. But obviously we're all new to VR, so this is the first one that I've played. So I can't compare it to the originals because I know they kind of go along the same lines, but I don't know what they are in terms of gameplay and in terms of anything else that's in there. But I think they basically follow the same premise, whereas you're in this game, you control Bug, who is a tester for Atari, and it's almost like a game within a game. So you spend your time, and it opens up slightly differently. You open up in the world and it starts to unravel and you kind of see what's going on. But you're Bug, a tester for Atari, and you're sitting day to day in your office testing games and trying to get bugs out of them, essentially. You'll have different people kind of wandering around the office who'll come and talk to you, like funny stories. It's quite good humour. They'll come and give you little tasks where like they'll give you, and it's based off like an Atari 2600 with the Atari 2600 joystick, so that single joystick red button, which was the first controller I had. So I immediately had that proper nostalgia for this. I'm like, oh, I remember having that, played my Wii games, and there's different bits and pieces where you're playing, playing like Centipede and stuff. And this is the first one of the three, and I think I'm correct in saying this, it was actually licensed by and published by Atari. So the other two were kind of more tongue-in-cheek about it. They weren't properly licensed, but this one...
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So this one is the first one that is licensed by Atari. So although they don't then use the names of the games, they kind of base them on the concept of the games, and some of the characters from the games have got their proper names and stuff like that. So there is some licensed stuff in there. And basically, you are testing these games, but you have the sibling lord has taken over your games and stolen these, I think it's energy crystals, I think they are. It might be magic crystals. But certain crystals, and essentially you have to go through these different game worlds on the cartridges to get to recover these crystals. And you get each crystal basically at the end of a boss fight. And I'd say the boss fights, and I don't want to spoil it, the boss fights in this game are probably the best bits of it. The boss fights are the most interesting, like the best gameplay, like probably the most nostalgia and some of the different things it gets you to do as well. But you're basically sitting at a desk with a monitor and a little Atari and your joystick, and you have the joystick in two hands. You need to do it like that, but then you're just controlling with thumbsticks. The controls in that are actually quite good. And you're doing like what would be a traditional Atari games. It's like your 2D side scrolling, kind of going through these different worlds, but you'll get to a certain point in the game and you won't be able to get any further, as if that's you finding that bug type thing. So then you warp into the game and it becomes this first player action adventure game within the game, and it's almost like, the best way to describe it's almost like a Minecraft world. That was the impression I got, because it's all that pixely way, but it's laid out in the way that you are seeing that 2D game. So the level design goes into like a 3D version of that 2D game. You can see bits of it. It's probably not a perfect recreation of it, but you can feel it. But you've got like, so you need to go and explore and work out, like you've got different characters that you need to like defeat bosses or find something for them, and you've got different ways, and it's almost it's not a Metroidvania, but it's very like a very, very light Metroidvania that you need to have, like, you go in and you'll do a little bit and you go back out to the 2D game and that'll get you a bit further in that, and then you can go back into the 3D game and do a wee bit more. But you have something, I think it's called a pixelator, which is almost like, you know what it's like in a VR game, your arms are where all your information is. So you've got
Yeah.
so you've got your gun on you play as a character Dot, who's the heroine you see in all the game art and stuff. You are Bug, but you're playing Dot as, so you are controlling Dot as Bug. That's kind of how the game works. But she shoots with her right hand, and then on her left hand she's got this pixelator, and it gives you all the information of all the collectibles that you've got, how many pixels you've collected, and you can then use those pixels to either you get different abilities. So some can you have almost empty blocks, and you can fill them in with the pixels you've collected. You need to collect a certain amount of blocks to then open up the next bit, or it can be to activate different parts that move, and that's how you progress in the levels.
Sounds like Wreck-It Ralph. Is it Wreck-It Ralph? Basically Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. A little bit.
To a little extent, but I think it's almost that way. I think where it is good is in that nostalgia element and that game within a game. Even the things when you're sitting in the office, you'll have people come over and distract you, proper office life. You'll have over here people that are at the can machine and stuff, talking about different games, and there's all those little Easter eggs in there about the time period of what games they're working on. And then some of the boss battle bits will take you back in different parts of the life of Bug herself. So you see her early life, and it's you're going back to an earlier version of an Atari then, and you're playing things like Breakout, and it's almost
Sounds
you're
cool.
in a virtual
Alex,
virtual
it
world
sounds-
of her living room.
You're kind of explaining it, but you're doing a great job of explaining it, and it sounds really cool. But is it actually a good game? I can't get the sense of, because it sounds like it should be a really good game.
Is it fun? It sounds like it's a really clever idea, but is it fun?
It is fun. I think where it lets itself down is, see, when you're going into those 3D world, it doesn't evolve enough. Although the different games look a little bit different, it's almost like a reskinned version of the same world. There's not enough variation is probably the biggest criticism I have of it. And all the enemies stay, although they're maybe changing how they look, they're basically the same types of enemies, and you're just basically trying to shoot them as quickly as you can. There's no real variation to that combat or anything like that. So you get to a stage where you're trying to get through those 3D bits to go back to the story bits, the boss battles, the 2D bit, which I think is a shame, because probably the 3D bit's supposed to be the majority of the game, and it's not a short game. You're probably 10 hours to get through it, so it's, from a VR game, it's not short. And I think that's the bit that probably holds it back, because everything else is really good. That whole, it just does a really good way of, and you are going through the time periods, so you'll almost go through the different, you go through portals to different time periods to take you to different games and different eras. So there's a lot of good about it. I think the one bit that holds it back is the gameplay does get a little bit repetitive, and the gunplay gets a little bit repetitive, and I think if some of that just kind of went up a couple of notches, I think it would have just made all the difference. But ultimately, it's a we don't give scores here in terms of out of 10s, but I would still say if you have that kind of nostalgia for that time period, and you want something that, it does get difficult at times, the difficulty spike within it, you do get a wee bit frustrated because you can just die because you just can't get away from things quick enough, not so much because you can't move quick enough rather than because you've done anything wrong. But overall, I think it's a really impressive game. I think it looks really, really nice. I think it's very well, I'd imagine this is a step up from the other games. Obviously, I can't compare them personally, but I feel like it probably is. I think it's nearly one of those you would say, yes, go play this game, if it wasn't for that core gameplay just being a wee bit repetitive. And that's the only real criticism I have, because you want to get through it to experience the really good bits, like the boss battles and all that. And the saying is, I don't want to give them away, because when you get to them, they're really cool. But I think I just wish either there was a little bit less of that gameplay, because it probably didn't need to be quite that long, or it just had a wee bit more variation in it. And
Well, I don't have any nostalgia for the 78, but it's making me really want to play 95 now when that comes out, because that will be much more my era. Cool. Well, thank you, Alex. And
That's
thank you. That's Pixel Rips, 1978. So yeah, thank you, Alex, and thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you could please tell your friends and family about us. And if you fancy getting a bit more involved, please don't hesitate to drop into our Discord and say hello. And trust me when I say lots of people are doing that. So if you're feeling left out, if you feel like you want some people to talk to about your PSVR, we've kind of taken over the Crossplays Discord now, and the PSVR2 chat is the most buzzing active part of the whole thing now. So that's great. So thank you for everyone for listening, and last but not least, thank you to our patrons for supporting the work we do. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Alex, and we will see you again next time. Until then, here's goodbye.